Again, we got 14 volts in, 38.2 watts input, got about 30 out. So we're losing 8 watts at 14 volts. It's good. Okay, we're going to test the voltage drop on the stock STARLINK Mini 50-foot cable. There's the markings on the side of the cable. It's 20 gauge, it's 50 feet long. I actually measured mine, it was exactly 50 feet. These numbers repeat about every foot, but none of them increment, so I don't think either one of these, at least on mine, is the foot mark. Here's the connector, looks like this. It's got two of the same connectors on either end. And I'm going to go ahead and hook this up with a DC power supply and a load and measure the voltage drop just for kicks here. Okay, we're going to test the wire at 68 degrees here. Here we got the linear power supply. Just turn this on. This is going to apply voltage to one end of the cable, and the other end is going to go into an electronic load. So I'm going to kick the electronic load on. That's a KIKUSUI. That is a variable load you can set up for constant current, resistance, power, whatever. So I'm going to kick this on here, output. And you got to get up to roughly about 6 volts before you get some output. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this all the way up to 30 volts, which is the stock STARLINK Mini supply here. Kick the input in. And if we go over here and connect the load up, you can set this up to be constant power, constant current, constant resistance, constant voltage. I'm going to go down and set this to constant power. So I can go through here and dial this in. So we got, let's just set the stock idle, which was around 20 watts. That's just sitting there. We got about 0.7 amps. So we've got 20.1 watts in, 19.5 out. So only losing about a half a watt through the cable. So if I take just and want to make the current higher, I can go ahead and set this. Let's just go up to about 30, which would be kind of like your uploading data, downloading is a good number to try. So I've got this set to roughly about 30 watts, and what it's doing, it's heating the wire up here, so you kind of chase your tail a little bit. There's 30 point, about 30, losing about 1/9 of a watt. So at 30 volts, the cable with 50 foot is totally adequate. Now let's aggravate this by going ahead and dropping the voltage down to, let's just go down to 20 real quick so we don't lose too many people in this video. Okay, there's 20 volts in. We got 33 volts, 33 watts. Down here we've got about 30. So we're losing 3 watts in the cable because we've dropped the voltage. See, the current's gone up, and the power loss is equivalent to I squared R, and the voltage drop is proportional to the current. So if I go ahead and drop this down to, say, 18 volts, like we're running off a, a Home Depot power tool, see, the current goes up. So we've got 34 watts, and down here we're down to 30. So we're losing about 4 watts. If we go down here to say 16 volts, we got about 2.2 amps. We've got about 35 watts. And here we're still at 30 watts. 30 watts load to the STARLINK Mini. So you've got 5 watts lost in the cable. Let's go down here like you're approaching a car. Let's say you got 14.4 volts. Like you've got it to a cigarette lighter, accessory plug, with the car running, the alternator running. You got 37.6 watts, and there's the 30.4. So you're losing 7 watts just through the cable. Now let's just drop this down to, let's say 13.2, like the car is off and you're just running off a battery. Now you got 40 watts, 40.2 watts. And you're getting 30 to the load. So you're losing 10 watts through that cable. And that's like at car battery voltage. And let's go down here to like you've got 12, like you kind of been discharging cars, not being charged up just through a marine battery. We're really aggravating this. So you've got 46.1 watts, 3.8 amps, and there you are again with the KIKUSUI electronic load at 30.2 watts. Again, this sets up, right now this is programmed for constant power. So in summary here, you've got 46 going into the cable, you're getting 30 out at the end DC, so you're losing 16 watts in that cable. Let's go down here to 11.5 volts. Now you really aggravated this. You've got 55 watts going into that cable. 4.84 amps, and you're only getting 30 out at the end. So you're losing 25 watts is lost in that cable is heat. So that's 20 gauge stock STARLINK Mini cable. That's why they designed the wall wart to be at 30 volts. So again, if you use a car battery or something, you want to use short cables or thicker wire. So we're going to run down this again. We got 14 volts in, 38.2 watts input. Got about 30 out. So we're losing 8 watts at 14 volts. Let's go down to 13.5. We got 39 watts in, about 30 out. Look at the voltage drop, 13.5 down to only about 10.3 at the load. So let's go down here to 13 volts. Got 40.8, 7 or 8 watts in, roughly about 30 out. We're down to 9.54 volts. Let's go down here to 12.5 volts. We got 43 watts in, roughly about 30 out. We're down to 8.66 volts. So you got a drop of 12.5 to 8.66 across that huge cable. That just shows it's not proper cable to use for 12 volts. Let's go down to 12 volts there. You got 46 watts in, only 7.8 volts. Let's go down to 11 and a half. I'm going to cook the cable. Got 55 watts in, about 30 watts out. We're down to 6.22 volts at the load. So notice roughly about 6 times 5 amps is 30 watts. So you're dropping all the power across the line when you have a low voltage. 20 gauge, 50 foot. Let's go to 11 volts. Now we got 105 watts. And we went so low we screwed up the load tester. Got to reset it. Not happy. Let's go to 11.3. 11.4. Probably got the protective settings set wrong. There you go, 11.8. 11.5.